Imagine you are playing a game of Follow the Leader in a giant, beautiful castle. In this game, the leader is the king or the prince, and everyone else has to follow very special rules to keep the game going. If you follow the rules, you get to wear shiny crowns, live in fancy houses, and go to big parties where everyone cheers for you. But what happens if some players start keeping secrets? What if they stop following the rules and start helping people who are not supposed to be in the game at all? For a long time, the royal family in England stayed the same, but something very big happened that changed everything. It is like the leader of the game finally decided that he had to stop the players who were cheating, even if they were his own cousins. This story is about Prince William, who will one day be the king, and how he had to make some very tough choices to protect his family's future. It is a story about secrets, a lot of money, and what happens when the people who are supposed to be good leaders let everyone down. You might think being a prince or a princess means you can do whatever you want, but this story shows that even royals have to be good people, or they will lose everything they have. It is a very serious moment in history, and once you hear what happened, you will see that the royal world will never look the same again. Something very big and very strange happened on a cold morning in March of the year 2026. If you have not heard the news yet, you should probably sit down because this is a story that will change the way everyone looks at the royal family forever. For hundreds of years, the royal family has tried to stay the same, but on this morning, everything was different. Prince William is the Prince of Wales, which means he is the next person in line to be the King of England. Usually when a prince is getting ready to be king, he is very quiet and careful. He usually says nice things and tries not to upset anyone. But on March 10th, Prince William did something very brave and very scary. He did not act like a quiet prince. Instead, he acted like a strong leader who was ready to fix a big problem. He made a move that the people who study the laws of the country are calling the biggest change to the royal family in our whole lives. It was like he took a giant pair of scissors and cut a whole branch off the family tree. Prince William made a very serious announcement from his home at Kensington Palace. He said that his cousins, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, are no longer allowed to be official members of the royal family. This was not just a small break or a tiny timeout. It was a permanent change that can never be undone. He took away their special titles, their jobs with the army, and their work with big companies. He even told them they could not go to any more official royal events. All of the things that made them princesses were gone in a single day. This was not just making the family a little bit smaller to save money. This was like cutting off a part of the family because it was making the rest of the family sick. It was a very clinical and cold move, which means he did it very carefully and without letting his feelings get in the way of what was right. Now everyone who is watching this story has to ask themselves a very important question. How did these two women, who grew up inside the most famous and fancy family in the whole world, end up in so much trouble? They were born into a life of luxury and had everything a person could ever want. They spent their whole lives going to big parties and wearing expensive designer clothes at famous places like Royal Ascot. They were some of the most famous people on the planet. So how did they go from being important princesses to having their titles taken away? How did they end up being watched by the police at their own homes? The answer to this mystery is not just one mistake that happened overnight. It is a long story of secrets that goes back for 10 years. It is a dark trail that leads to a man named Jeffrey Epstein, who was known for doing very bad things. This story gets much darker before we can see the truth clearly. To understand why the prince had to make this big move, we first have to talk about the sister's father. His name is Prince Andrew, and he is the Duke of York. For a long time, the people who talk for the palace have called him Andrew Mountbatten Windsor instead of using his royal title. This is because he has been a very big embarrassment for the royal family for almost 10 years. He was friends with a man named Jeffrey Epstein, who was a criminal. There are many pictures and stories about them being together. Prince Andrew even did a television interview in 2019 that was so bad it made everyone in the country angry. Because of his bad choices, he was told in 2022 that he could no longer do royal work. He lost his military jobs and his Royal Highness title. At that time, the palace told the public that the problems were only because of Andrew. They said his daughters, Beatrice and Eugenie, were innocent and should be left alone. But that story about the sisters being innocent is no longer true. In February of 2026, Prince Andrew was arrested by the police. They think he did something very wrong while he was working for the government as a trade envoy, which is like a special helper for business. When the people who look at money and bank accounts started to investigate, they found something much bigger than just one man's mistake. They found a giant, messy web of secrets. This web was made of hidden money, private messages, and secret deals that were kept away from the public. And the most shocking part was that his daughters, Beatrice and Eugenie, were reportedly right in the middle of it. The palace had tried for years to keep the bad news from hurting the rest of the family, but they found out that the sisters were still helping their father even when they were told not to. Think about that for a second. Imagine if you found out that someone you knew was still talking to and helping people who did bad things, even after everyone knew those people were bad. What would you do? Would you stay quiet or would you take a stand? Prince William decided that he had to take a stand. For him, the day to act was March 10th, 2026. The day before he made his big announcement, there was a secret emergency meeting at the palace. Prince William met with his aunt, Princess Anne. Princess Anne is a very strong and tough woman, and many people think she is the backbone of the royal family. Together, they created a new set of rules called the Royal Accountability and Ethics Act of 2026. This is a very important piece of law for the royal family. It is the most significant thing they have done for their rules in a very long time. This new law is very strict and precise. It says that every member of the royal family has to have an ethics check. This is like a very serious test to see if they are being honest. It is not just a suggestion, and they cannot say no. It means independent people who are not part of the family have to look at all of their money, their bank accounts in other countries, and even their private messages on their phones. The law also says that if any royal person refuses to do the check or fails the test, they can be kicked out of the family forever. If they are kicked out, they lose their titles and all the protection the palace gives them. Beatrice and Eugenie were asked to do this check. The people who look at the money were ready to start. The sisters were told it would be fair, but they said no. They refused to let the auditors look at their secret money and their private business. When they said no to the ethics check, they made Prince William's job very easy. The palace sent a message that you only refuse a check if you have something to hide. Their refusal was the final mistake for the York family. This brings up a big question that we should all think about. In any group, like a company or even your own family, when does being loyal to someone turn into helping them do something wrong? There is a line between loving someone and helping them hide their bad behavior. Beatrice and Eugenie had many years to stop helping their father and his bad friends, but they chose not to. They stayed in the middle of the mess, and now they have to face the consequences for that choice. Now let us look at the specific things that the police and the palace found. These details are very bad and show why the sisters are in so much trouble. First, there is a secret communication network. The police found messages that show Beatrice and Eugenie were still talking to people from Jeffrey Epstein's group long after he was gone in 2019. This was not something from a long time ago. They were doing this while the royal family was telling everyone that they were finished with that group. Second, there were very expensive gifts. The investigators found that Beatrice received luxury jewelry, famous artwork, and a lot of money. These were not just birthday presents from friends. The police think she was being paid to stay quiet about secrets. Third, there was something called shadow diplomacy. This means that when Beatrice went on trips to other countries for work, she was allegedly giving away secret royal information to people who were part of Epstein's groups. She was selling secrets to make herself rich. Fourth, there was a secret pot of money called a slush fund. The investigators think that in 2022, both Beatrice and Eugenie used their royal connections to take millions of dollars. They allegedly gave this money to their father so he could pay for his lawyers and the people who were suing him. This hidden money was used to silence people who were trying to tell the truth about Prince Andrew. By using the crown's own money to help their father, the sisters were basically stealing from the country to protect someone who did bad things. This is very shocking. It shows that they were not just standing by their dad because they loved him. They were reportedly using the royal family's power and money to hide the truth. Did you ever think that things could be this bad? It changes how a person feels about the prince's choice to kick them out of the family. On the morning of March 10th, Prince William stood in front of the cameras at Kensington Palace. He was standing with Princess Anne, who helped him plan everything. He was very calm and very serious. He told the world that the changes were happening right then and would last forever. Beatrice and Eugenie were stripped of their military jobs and their royal duties. They were told they could no longer call themselves Her Royal Highness or Princess when they are in public. Big companies like BT and Barclays immediately said they would not work with the sisters anymore. Even famous universities said they did not want to be associated with them. Their houses in different parts of the country are now being watched by a special police team. These police are not there to keep the sisters safe. They are there to make sure the sisters do not try to hide or delete any secret messages or files on their computers. The police are very interested in some special computers at Beatrice's house. They think these computers have the secrets she was sharing with her father's bad friends. In another big move, the palace said they are now very worried about the sisters' children. Their names are August, Sienna, and Wolfie. Prince William said that any child who is near a police investigation must be protected from the bad news and the cameras. Princess Anne has arranged for the children to be cared for by someone who is not part of the drama. The children were moved to a safe part of a palace called Sandringham, far away from where the police are searching their parents' homes. Prince William wanted to make it very clear that this is not just a temporary thing. The York family is finished. They are no longer part of the royal family's future. A person who works closely with Prince William said something that people will remember for a very long time. They said that the royal family is not just a place for people who want to be rich and keep secrets. They said it is a very important part of the country's laws. If a person cannot be honest and stand in the light, they cannot represent the crown. For many years, Princess Eugenie and her husband, Jack Brooksbank, tried to make everyone think they had a perfect life. They lived in London and also in a very fancy place in Portugal. They looked like a modern royal couple who were very happy and successful. But the police found out that their life in Portugal was not what it seemed. It was actually a way for them to hide their money from the people who were investigating them. Forensic accountants are people who are very good at following money trails. They found a web of secret companies in Portugal that the York family was using to move money. They think this money came from the bad Epstein group and was used to pay for the sisters' expensive clothes and fancy lifestyles. This was because the family had stopped giving them as much money after their father got in trouble in 2019. All of this trouble has been very hard on Eugenie's marriage. Earlier this year, at a big party for King Charles, Eugenie showed up without her husband, Jack. This made everyone start talking. People who saw her said she looked very stressed and upset. Sources inside the palace say that Jack is tired of all the legal fights and the bad news. He worked hard to have a good name in business, and now his name is being ruined because his wife refuses to stay away from her father. Jack had to make a very tough choice. Should he stay with his wife even though she is helping her disgraced father, or should he try to protect his own future? Eugenie keeps choosing to help her dad, Prince Andrew. She visits him and helps with his lawyers. This choice has reportedly made Jack very unhappy. Their life in Portugal was just a pretend story to hide the truth. Now their marriage might be over too. The Crown has made it very clear that Eugenie's choices are her own, and they will not help her with the consequences anymore. Meanwhile, across the ocean in California, another big part of the royal family is falling apart. If the move against Beatrice and Eugenie was like cutting off a branch, what is happening to Harry and Meghan in Montecito is even more serious. The palace has confirmed that they are using a special new law to deal with Harry and Meghan once and for all. This is part of the Royal Accountability and Ethics Act of 2026. Prince William has given an order that takes away the very things that Harry and Meghan used to make money. The palace told the courts in California that Harry and Meghan are no longer allowed to call themselves the Duke and Duchess of Sussex for any official work. The Crown even asked the court to say that their titles are not real anymore because they broke the rules. The palace says they used their royal names to make money for themselves through deals with companies like Netflix and by writing books about the family's secrets. Harry and Meghan thought they could live in America and still use their royal status to get rich. But Prince William and his legal team said no. They said you cannot be a regular person in California and also sell the secrets of the British royal family. One of the most damaging things that happened was when Harry had a special mental health check to prove he was upset by his family. But because he said he was very unstable in that check, the palace's lawyers used his own words against him. They said that if he is as unstable as he says he is, then he is not able to provide a safe home for the king's grandchildren. Harry tried to make people feel sorry for him, but his words gave the palace a reason to take away his power as a father. At the same time, Harry and Meghan are running out of money. Their big house in Montecito might be taken away by the bank soon. Their big media contracts have disappeared because the companies do not want to work with them anymore. They are now trying to borrow money from people who are getting nervous. Some reports even say that the same secret money network that Beatrice was using has been found in Harry and Meghan's bank accounts too. This links all of the cousins together in a big mess of corruption that the Crown is trying to clean up. The Sussex experiment, where they tried to be royals on their own terms, is finished. It did not end with a nice deal. It ended with the power of the law. Amidst all this fighting and legal trouble, the most important thing is the two young children, Archie and Lilibet. They are caught in the middle of a very messy situation. Because the court said that Harry and Meghan are not doing a good job as parents, the palace has started a plan to bring the children back to London. Princess Anne says this is not about politics. It is about keeping the children safe in a stable home. The Royal Lodge, which used to be a very fancy and formal house, has been changed to be a warm and happy place for them. Princess Catherine and Duchess Sophie are in charge of making sure the children have a good life. There will be no cameras or news stories about the children's daily lives. Prince William wants them to be regular kids, not assets for a brand. One smart thing the palace did was to keep the children's long-term nanny, Maria. This is so the children will have a familiar face they trust as they move to a new country. Maria was given a 3-year contract to help Archie and Lilibet get used to living with their cousins, George, Charlotte, and Louis. The goal is to let them grow up with other kids who understand what it means to be royal. The court in California said that the way Harry and Meghan were raising the children was not good. In England, the children will have a regular schedule with school, playing outside, and being part of a real community. There will be no social media or big business events for them. William and Catherine do not want them to grow up like celebrities. They want them to be well-educated and happy. The children will go to private schools where no one can take their pictures. They will have special doctors to help them understand who they are and to help them recover from the stress of their parents' public fights. The palace is not going to hide the truth from Archie and Lilibet when they get older. Princess Anne said that they are not trying to erase the children's history, but they are trying to make sure that history does not ruin their lives. One day, the children will ask why they moved, and the palace will tell them that it was to protect them and give them a better future. As the York family and the Sussex family fall away, Prince William has been busy building a new team. He has redesigned the royal firm to be stronger and more honest. The empty spots left by Beatrice and Eugenie are being filled by a group called the Frontline Five. At the center of this new team is Catherine, the Princess of Wales. Her return to work is a very big deal. For many months, while the York sisters were reportedly doing secret deals, Catherine was the one who was steady and strong. Her being the face of the monarchy shows everyone that the new era is professional and good. She represents the best of the royal family. She is impeccably behaved and has no secrets. She is the perfect person to lead the new Windsor era. Next is Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh. She has taken over many of the jobs that Beatrice and Eugenie used to do. Sophie is known for working very hard without looking for attention. She is the opposite of a celebrity, which is exactly what the palace needs right now. Then there is Lady Louise Windsor. She's becoming a more important representative for the family. She is young, smart, and has never been in any trouble. She is the clean slate that William needs to show the public that the younger generation of royals understands that their job is to serve the country, not to be famous. Queen Camilla is also part of the team, helping with the country's culture and books. And finally, young James, the Earl of Wessex, is being taught by Princess Anne about how to be a responsible royal. Every single royal event is now checked to make sure there is no more influence from the York family. This is not just a quick change. It is a permanent new way of doing things. The year 2026 will be remembered as the year of the purge, when the family was cleaned up. As the sun went down on March 10th, the world saw a monarchy that was willing to change itself to survive. For a long time, the royal family lived by a rule that said you were always safe because you were family. You could do bad things or be an embarrassment, but the family would always protect you because of your name and your blood. That old rule died in 2026. By making everyone follow the new ethics law, Prince William sent a message to everyone. He said that having royal blood does not protect you if you are doing wrong things. The survival of the monarchy depends on being honest and getting rid of the people who are a danger to the crown. The news from London shows that even though some people were humiliated, the public actually likes the royal family more now. Young people especially like that the royals are finally being held responsible for their actions. The monarchy is no longer being haunted by the ghosts of its past. It is building something new on the ground where the old, bad parts were destroyed. Princess Anne explained it best. She said the monarchy is not just a family business. It is a necessary part of the country's laws that must be kept lean and clean. The Epstein mess that almost ruined the family has been scrubbed away by getting rid of the York branch. The Sussex drama has been finished by bringing the children home. The British monarchy is moving forward with a smaller and more honest group. Prince William has done what many people thought he could not do. He has proven that the crown is more important than any one person. This is a very important moment in the thousand-year history of the royal family, but it is not over yet. The children are still getting used to their new homes. The police are still investigating the sisters. There are still many questions about what Beatrice and Eugenie really knew and how deep the secret network went. We still do not know what Harry and Meghan will do next. So we want to know what you think about all of this. Was Prince William right to be so tough, or did he go too far? Should family members always be protected, or should they have to follow the same rules as everyone else? You can leave your answer in the comments. If you think that everyone should be held responsible for what they do, no matter if they have a title or royal blood, you should like this video. This channel is going to watch every single part of this story as it happens. You can subscribe so you do not miss any news. Share this video with your friends who thought the royal family would never fix its own problems. March 10th, 2026 proved that things are changing for the better. The new Windsor era has started, and we are here to see it happen in real life. It is a time of big changes and a more honest future for the crown. Thank you for watching and being part of this historical moment with us. We will see you in the next video with more updates on the royal family.